All right, guys. So we're just gonna pick up where we left off. As you guys know, last time I got this side pretty much completely in, ready to be welded. Now I'm working on the other side. I've got most of this stuff cut out. I don't know if I showed that in the last time. There's all the leftover scraps. It's pretty easy to get this stuff out. It just takes a while. So I've got the top cut off. Now I need to work on getting this piece cut out, and then I actually am going to make the kind of formal decision to cut the steering box mount out. It kind of helps as kind of like a boxing in support. However, I'm probably just gonna do a lot of 3/16 steel down the end of it, and then I'll box it in that way, because I have a feeling this stuff weighs a ton, and I can save some weight by just taking that out and putting 3/16 plated steel in. So I'm probably gonna work on that. I got a lot of cutting out to do, and then hopefully the goal today is to be able to get not only this other side and this side of the frame, I also definitely want to start on the radius arm mounts. And I mean, maybe if I'm lucky, start stitch welding. Stitch welding is one of those things to where I haven't welded in a long time. I'm not a certified welder. I've done it for fun. I did my floor pans. Those came out really, really good. But I'm just like, this is a lot thicker and a lot more important to me. So I'm most likely going to take some scrap metal and practice a little bit. It's a plenty good enough welder. I'm decently confident, I guess. I don't know. It's just one of those things I want some practice beforehand. So we might get into some welding in this video, but if not, I really don't know. I'm just here to get stuff done. Just not really on a schedule or a task to kind of do stuff. I mean, I'm just gonna get done when I can. So I'm gonna start finishing cutting all this stuff out. The only thing that's gonna suck, as you can see behind this is where the steering box went, and you've got bolts that would have gone all the way through, the main 3 bolts that hold your steering box in, and the bracketry goes all the way through the frame. And so this is a very difficult piece that it's gonna take a while for me to get out. And a lot of you guys are telling me, invest in a plasma cutter, invest in a torch. Yeah, well, we have a cutting torch, but which is right here actually, now I think about it, but there was 2 reasons I didn't want to use it. One, I don't even know if it has all the, like, I think it ran out of oxygen. I don't remember quite right. But the other reason is I don't want to accidentally blow a giant hole in the side of the frame. That's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it'd be nice, but if I blow out one side of the frame, it's not worth it to me. And I mean, plasma cutter's right there. The tip doesn't ground anything, so I can't use that. So I'm going back to square one with a simple grinder and cutoff wheels. I've gone through like 30 of them already, but they're really cheap, so I just keep doing it, and it seems to work. So I'm just gonna keep going at it. Go right to it, and then I'm just gonna kind of catch you guys up to speed once I start getting that thing cut out and show you guys along the way. So I'm gonna get right into it. All right, so we mocked everything up again. You can see I've even got the rear radius arm mounts kind of just sitting in there just to kind of check everything. So now I need to go down this and drill the holes so the bolts can actually go through it. Bolt the thing together, make sure it's straight, take some measurements, and we'll actually be ready to weld it. So I'm gonna take it all back apart again, and then take some measurements on this actual kit and see where those holes line up, and then take the measurement from my center mount hole, or that dowel pin hole, outward, punch a hole, drill it, and then see if it all lines up. So I got these holes drilled up. It looks like there's a bunch of holes now. This is the dowel pin hole, and then there's the front bolt hole, rear bolt hole. And then if I drop this in, this one's not quite as tight fit as the other one, but you can kind of, I don't know if the camera will see, but if you look down it, it'll work. And then it gives me just enough room. I don't know, let me go grab a bolt. Sweet. So that means this will fit. Front and rear ones will work. I haven't Haven't tried the rear, but should work. Nice. So this one's already done, ready to go, and then I just got to drill those holes in the other one. This thing is the most violent drill I've ever used, so got to make sure I don't kill myself in those other 2 holes. This is extremely difficult, not trying to get your arm ripped off by this drill, but we're gonna get those other 2 holes drilled, mock the thing back up, put it all together, and I'll catch you guys up when we're back there. Alright, I haven't actually welded in a really long time, so I'm trying out welding again for the first time in a long time, so probably not gonna be that good. The pass you see is Sean's, and now I'm gonna see if I can one-up him and do a little bit better. Probably not. That's actually really good. So you can see Sean's is on the bottom. I just kind of went overlapped it. Those first ones are super good. So I'm sorry if my lens on my camera's trashed. I've just been beating the crud out of this camera case, but those aren't bad. Hey Sean, check this out. Not too bad. I'll just I'll work on getting it a little bit better. Keep in mind I haven't actually welded. I did my floors, but that's just spot welding. I haven't actually welded anything in probably like 2-3 years. So this is my first like pass in a long time, which isn't too bad. On the bottom it's really corroded, but on the top I think it's not bad. I just gotta actually work on penetrating up and down. So I think it's all right, good enough. It looks good enough to do the frame. I mean, I'll practice it a little bit more, make sure I got it down until I'm confident with my hand motion, my consistency, and then I'll go back and actually weld the frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that hole drilled, come back up when that's all done. So the bolts pretty much dropped in on the other 3. However, it looks like I got way off on one of them, so I need to slot that hole. It's not really a big deal because these are slotted on top and bottom. And the bolts are only there to compress everything while I weld it. After they get their welded, it doesn't really do too much at that point. I need to make sure I get that one hole, slotted so it fits. The other ones are literally perfect, which is awesome. So those are nice and in, they're not really moving around at all, so that'll be good. So the dowel pins are sitting flush, everything's sitting flush. The only thing I need to do is slot that hole a little bit so it can go over, because I might be able to get the actual plate to go back a hair, but I just need to kind of massage that guy in and then it'll go in, and then from there I loosen my radius arm up and we'll be able to flip those up and weld in the actual like radius arm mounts. So when I come back, we'll actually be welding everything in, and I'll finish the video off actually hopefully getting this thing completely welded in. So I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so as you can see I rolled the chassis forward, and as you can also see I went ahead and brought up some old fenders and core supports of mine. That is the original fender and core support that were on my truck when I bought it, and then this is another fender that was on my truck at one point. It has different front fenders and grills and stuff like that on it right now. These are old fenders, and went ahead and I'm gonna do a little mock-up to kind of get an idea. I just did this to be funny and kind of play with it, but it's obviously not gonna be nearly that low. I'm not doing bags. Some people are asking me that. I'm doing coilovers. I'm planning to track the truck. It's not a show vehicle by any means. I'm gonna beat the crud out of it. I'm not trying to just take it to shows. I wanna actually use my truck a lot. So we're doing coils all the way around at a pretty low ride height. Pretty much as low as I can get the thing to go, but keep in mind it doesn't have an engine in it right now. So it's gonna be a couple inches higher than it normally would be. But I'm gonna try to bolt the core support to the frame-ish, maybe kind of, and then bolt the fenders to that. Kind of give me a rough estimate. The real thing isn't really the ride height because it's not gonna be anywhere near where it is right now. But I wanna check the center of the wheel. I'm gonna make sure that's actually correct because I don't wanna make sure it's too far forward or too far back. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and mock all this stuff up, come back when it's kind of all together. All right, so this is as close as you'll see this thing as an actual F100 before it's actually like my truck's on the chassis. So the reason I did this is, like I said, the side to side movement, and just looking at this is extremely promising. You can see I have a very consistent gap. This wheel well is not a perfect semicircle like a lot of them are, so it's hard to kind of gauge, but you can see the gap on the back of the wheel and the gap on the front. It's very, very doable. Now, the reason I did all these measurements beforehand was a lot of people, I can't really show you now because everything's all together, but when I drilled that center dowel pin hole in between, there was 2 other holes next to it, and a lot of people use, I think, the rear one or the front one, and they just enlarge those holes and move them over, which you can do. However, that will set your wheel well it'll set the tire back or forwards in the wheel well. The reason I did it the way I did it is to actually drill where the kingpins, the center of the kingpins and the center of the spindles, where they sit. That was extremely important to me so I can make sure that it was correct and the wheel's gonna sit in the correct spot from where it was with the I-beams. Now, I know it's not actually bolted together, but you can see I mounted the core support. It's in the center of that hole on both sides, and forward and backwards wise and left to right, it's actually dead center of where it would be. And the only difference now is the core support would actually be another inch higher, because there's supposed to be a rubber grommet that goes in here. It's about an inch or so, maybe a half an inch. So the ride head's not gonna be perfect, but that's not what I'm here to measure. As you can see, I do got a pretty good amount of wheel gap, but keep in mind, this is already just as it sits, no motor and no compression on the springs, no anything. This is actually already lower than my other truck was. You can see the radius arm mounts are very close to the ground, so is the rest of the frame rails. So I cannot wait to actually see how the rest of this truck goes together and how the rear end does. But this is really, really promising to look at. So I'm very, very stoked with this. So
all fairly decent welders.
rad. That one little bastard.
Which one?
The one that's like a little higher than the rest. Okay, so I don't have a flashlight, so you can't really see it too well. Oh wait, yes I do. Okay, thanks bud. So I'm not the greatest welder by any means, but I'm doing a method called trigger welding. And trigger welding is basically where you hold it for 2 seconds and then move over a half a circle. And I really like how it looks. And the welder I'm using is a 220 MIG stick combo, everything from Clutch. And it seems to be doing pretty good on a CO2 argon mix. And I'm really liking the way this is coming out. So that was my first attempt right there. And then this is where I'm trying it a little different way. I'm thinking I'm liking this a lot. So I'm doing it in sections so I don't warp anything, but I definitely like how this is coming out. So it is penetrating quite deep, so all the penetrating people, it'll be fine, I promise. So pretty stoked with this. I'm gonna keep going and catch up with you guys when it's looking pretty good.
Persuaded.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, I'm super tired, but got it all welded. My welds aren't the greatest, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not no Cletus McFarlane welder up in this, but that's MRO. That I did have to fill a couple of gaps in the backs, but I just put a couple of tacks right there, a couple of welds on the bottom. Not too bad. I'd say it looks all right. It'll look good. Holds pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. It's got all clunked up because there was a huge hole there that I had to fill. But I'd say everything's looking all right. I'm okay with it. Looks good. It's gonna be super strong. I mean, this thing's stiff as a brick. Like nothing flexes anymore. Now it's like everything up here is super stiff, and then all in the back's like kind of flimsy. So it's like now I gotta work on the back end of the truck, but the front end is, it's done finally. Yes, I'm so happy with that. And it's actually like not a hard thing to do. Once everything lines up and you can get the bolts through, the dowel pins sit in this, everything lines up and you can bolt it together. And you can take a common measurement. I took a measurement from this tape measure on the front of this guy right here, and then went to the edge of this hole. And another measurement I took was, I think, the edge, one of the pieces on the actual cradle to this hole on the bottom, and took that measurement. I believe it was here to there, so took a measurement there on both sides. And as long as they're consistent and they're even, you're under a 1/16 of an inch off on each side. I think this one is like a 32nd too far forward versus this one, which is literally unnoticeable. So I'm okay with that. I think that'll do just fine. Pretty happy with how everything's fitting. It's seeming like I got a very similar gap going in on each side, which is good, and I'm pretty happy with it. So we can now work on doing the radius arm mounts, flip those over, get those welded, make some sort of sway bar mount here, get that on, and I have a pretty sweet front suspension, so pretty happy with that. Alright guys, so I'm back home working on my truck, getting paint and stuff prepped, which you'll see in a future video. I've already started doing the interior. I'm actually painting it today. I'm pretty happy with all the welding that I got done today. 90% of the front is done. Now I just got to put those radius arm supports up. That's the only thing I forgot. And then I noticed I missed one stitch weld on the front of that plate, so you're probably commenting about that. But yeah, I did notice that. Got to do a little bit more touch up, a little bit more welding, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. Aesthetically, it looks really good. It is trigger welding. I think I'm pretty happy with that. It penetrated really, really well. You can shake the frame around. That thing is solid. It's not going anywhere. I kind of went overkill. I welded in a lot of areas around it to make sure that thing is solid. I did go a little bit overkill on how much I welded, but I just wanted to be safe. Did my best. I'm not a welder. I'm a mechanic. I want to make that very clear. All the YouTube welders come out in this kind of videos, but I'm trying my best. That was my first time ever attempting trigger welding. I've never done any sort of kind of welding like that, or stitch welding, or whatever you want to call it. But that kind of welding where you're just kind of buzzing it per second and then just kind of moving on. I've never done that before, so I wanted to try it because I knew it looked a little bit better than regular welding. The nice thing was it kept the heat down so I could do longer passes at a time. So it was pretty nice and it came out really well. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I can't wait to move on to the radius arm mounts and what I got planned for the rear end of the truck. So super excited about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Smash the like button. It really would mean a lot to me. It promotes my videos, helps me out a ton, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm getting really, really close here with the truck getting nicer in the interior and the Crown Vic chassis getting done pretty soon. That has not gone away. A lot of people have been asking for updates. I was really, really busy with school and I had not had the time to drive the hour-long drive out there to work on it. So that was really the big one. Let me know what you do think down in the comments, or any questions, comments, or concerns. I'll try to answer them, and I'll see you guys in the next video with this truck. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.